I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and this is round 4 of the European Team Carcassonne Online Championship 2025, where we'll be witnessing a decisive encounter between Team Italy and Team Croatia. Whichever of these teams wins is likely to qualify for the playoffs. So let's look at the tournament situation real quick. In all 4 groups, Ukraine, France on the top of Group A, RCP, Hungary top of Group B, Belgium, United Kingdom at the top of Group B, and Poland, Czech Republic at the top of Group C for now. And if we look at Croatia and Italy, now it's really do or die time, because for either team that loses, they are going to have only 1 win in 3 matches, and so the best that they can do is 2 wins. But Poland and Czech Republic already have 2 wins and some game in reserve. So for Croatia and for Italy, it is a must-win situation. And let's say if Croatia wins, for example, because the Croatia have a slightly better tiebreaker, then they will actually be ahead Czech Republic because they will have the same number of matches played and wins, and they will have a better tiebreaker due to a higher number of duels won. For Italy, this could also be the case, but it kind of depends on how hard they win. Actually, no, never mind. If they do win, they also going to be ahead of Czech Republic, at least for now. So a reminder to you all, this is round 4 of round 5. So the decisive events are going to happen in about 2 hours. Now we're about to witness kind of decisive events. So let's have a look at the lineups. Now there's a reason I picked this match as opposed to several other matches that are going on right now. Not only because of the tournament situation for Croatia and Italy, but also because this match should be fairly close. So on table 1, James 81 is a severe rating favorite against Amasiunkula. On table 2, this is where all the important events are going to happen. So Lamberto Richetti, with the screen name Lambe, is going to play against the captain and one of the founders of Carcassonne, Croatia, Zvonimir Vlajic, with the screen name Bluste. Lambe currently has the higher rating, but Bluste has a lot of achievements to his name. He has crossed the 700 rating threshold, so he has the master title. He got silver at the 2025 Mind Sports Olympiad, so really strong player. Should be really equal between these two. And on other players, on other tables, Polo Verde has to be a significant favorite against Mixer 9-7 due to ratings. Buha 4-4, Filip Bohiniček has to be a significant favorite against Pichone 8-5, although this one could get fairly close. And on table 5, Tompa 9-9 has to be a convincing favorite against AI BJ7, although I know that their actual true rating of AI BG7 is much higher than 343. I've definitely seen them over the expert threshold of 500 at some point. They were also part of Team Italy, at least at some World Team Carcassonne Online Championships. In any case, on table 1 and 3, the Italians are the favorite. On tables 4 and 5, the Croatians are in favorite, and on table 2, it is even money, and this is where our attention is going to be focused in about 30 seconds or so. So we're supposed to start at 1400 UTC, but sometimes on Board Game Arena the tournaments take a few seconds or even a few minutes to properly start. So I'm just going to keep refreshing. Oh, there we go. There we go. So Lambe, the starting player, scores 4 points instantly. Bluste is now, of course, going to go over here, start a new city. And this is a very nice tile to have. He must hope that Lambe has himself a city plus field tile, but he has not. Instead, Lambe is going to score 2 points and set himself up 2 loop roads potentially. Bluestar now gets on the board by scoring 4 points off his own. And we're off to the races. Lambe tries to harass this here green meeple a little bit. And Zvonimir with the first monastery of the game. It's actually a rather nice monastery to have. I wonder if he's going to have the guts to play what I think is the best move of going over here for 4 points. It could be a bit scary because sometimes this monastery gets blocked or restricted, but in reality it happens really rarely. Like if we go here, then this vulnerable square is actually nicely protected here. Yeah, so Bluestar makes a bit more of a conservative move for only 2 points instead of 4. The some advantages that this move has is that there are squares for further stacking, whereas building clusters of monasteries would have been problematic had the Croatian listened to my advice. But he doesn't get himself a monastery. He gets himself a starting tile, which normally you want to use here to finish your city, and I still think that's the best move. But then this square becomes vulnerable, so it's not crazy to do something like this. Start a 2-point road to equalize this guy basically, and then set up a city cap next to your monastery. Another decent move is this, which I also deeply enjoy. It's 1 point for the monastery, new city over here, protection of the square, and Lambe just keeps hammering. Another vulnerable square created next to Bluestar's monastery. And of course 2 quick points as well, but green equalizes on the scoreboard. Now great tile for Lambe to go for 4 points. Bluestar now really cannot do all that much. Maybe just continue his city is actually not the worst idea. You typically don't want to be building your opponent's features, but maybe this would be an exception, and he does exactly that with the farmer. Excellent pattern recognition here from the player with the green meeples, and Lambe now connects in a bit of unexpected way. If he wants to do that, there was a way to actually go here, but I can see some reasons why he wants to delay the build-up of this monastery. Maybe he doesn't want to even further make the square vulnerable. Kind of wants to build here first, then here, something like this, and not allow this farmer to develop. So this is headed into an interesting direction. Not an obvious decision here for green. Probably wants to do something, yeah, like this. That makes a lot of sense. Waiting for one of the 9 remaining curves, having himself a nice road. I would have probably preferred something like this, perhaps, just because there was potential to build a long road all the way through there. Lamberto, with a dagger tile, probably is going to score 3 points. You could also go here, start a new city, and kind of poke some needles at these here 2 squares. But in reality, these 2 squares are not really vulnerable. Still 3 crossroads, still 2 daggers that fit over here, and of course a multitude of curves. What does Bluestar do here? There is a move which I really like. Actually, no, there isn't. So this is an option. We can try and break Lambe's city, but it's a bit too early to do stuff like this. On the other hand, it makes it a bit harder for Lambe to continue his road. Maybe I start liking that a little bit more. Another option is to go here, just build up our city, and the idea is if Lambe finishes his little city here, then we're going to have some pressure on this here meeple, and there are a lot of scenarios how this here little yellow guy gets blocked for 3 points. I'll check the chat whilst Bluestar makes a decision, and we do seem to think alike with the Croatian master. Nico is saying Group D is done. Oh, this is immensely interesting. Oh, yes, we're gonna have a look at that a little bit later too. Anyway, both players now playing a little bit faster. I am surprised by Lambe a little bit, who said misclicked, because this totally explains everything. I assume he didn't mean to go here. Not that it is a horrible move or anything, but there were just other more important urgent squares where he could have done something. And he's now going to pay the price. So Blueste could go here and maybe equalize this guy, whilst also making some troubles for this here yellow meeple. We can see that being a good sport, Blueste in the chat is saying not a bad move. This is true. I'm saying, right? Because it's a point for the monastery, then a city cap next to the monastery won't hurt. Maybe like not exactly what Lamberto needs at this moment, but something that gives him value. But of course, Blueste is under no obligation to not punish such a misclick. And so he takes an opportunity to actually block Lambe's meeple almost with certainty. So here's the issue for Lambe. There's still 2 tiles that fit into this square. But there's so many more tiles that go here. Like now, for example. So this here guy is blocked permanently. And this here guy is alive and well. Blueste now finishes himself a monastery, takes a 3-point road, gets a meeple back. Lambe gets a meeple back as well, but overall it's a pretty difficult position here for the Italian. Blueste now has quite a few options. A normal move is just to score 2 points. This is also a very strong move, trying to block this square. A third possibility would have been to develop the city, but then sometimes this square suffers a little bit. Lamberto with a city cap. He chooses to start a new city. Hi, Nepamai. But I'm actually not a fan of Lamberto's move, because you don't really want to block this here square. Because the idea with this here square is that you want to get something like a straight line so that you can free your monastery without freeing your opponent's monastery. But now what happened, that only a curve or a road monastery, of course, can be placed here, but Lambe already needs a curve over here. And so that motif of kind of gaining an artificial meeple advantage in that area, it's not really working. And Blueste just now keeps hammering and hammering. Fortunately for Lambe, he gets a crossroads to get his meeple back immediately. This is a big break here for the Italian. He chooses not to drop a farmer, which has a lot of merits, but Blueste, of course, is going to score 4 points, and this farm now instantly becomes worthwhile. Lambe cannot really do all that much. He has to score. He has to keep scoring. Gets himself the 4 points, the 3 points for the road, rather. And what will the Croatian do? Is he gonna just drop on the field for 9 points? I think it's a decent move with pretty much any tile. The field has a lot of prospect. You could also claim the 8-point ruin, but it's a bit too early for this. Note that the last starting tile had been drawn, so this monastery is permanently blocked, whereas this green square could in theory be used to expand green's farm here. We can see that the Croatian does in fact drop a farmer. Now could consider going here, sort of pre-finishing his road. This is exactly what happens at the expense of the vulnerability of this city. Lambe now of course needs to do something about it. You know what? Maybe Lambe could have saved a meeple here, actually. Only 3 tiles that fits into that square. And I think being a bit behind, Lambe could absolutely consider a gamble there. Because, like, Lambe is behind on the scoreboard. He's behind on many battles. And, like, equalizing the city is, of course, the safe move. But it seems to me that safe moves are not going to cut it. So Bluster restricted the city to a quadruple city tile, which shouldn't concern Lambay too much. These cities are essentially equal. Zvonimir now with many possible options. Let's see, what are his limits of greed? The greediest move is to go here and place your last meeple in this here city and gun for 8 points at the risk of getting blocked. The risk-free move is to maybe go here and just drop a city cap in your field and try to score 7-pointer in the next move. It's also possible to go here, perhaps, with the idea that if Lambay connects to these here cities, then the city is going to be completed, and so this guy is going to add himself 3 points to the farm. For the variety of reasons, it's actually not the strongest move, but I would understand. I would be empathetic to somebody who chooses to try that. So Bluster just decides to drop a dagger in the bigger field, which I don't think is correct. It's okay. But normally, if you have two fields, you actually want to develop them equally. So that if your opponent chooses to attack one of these fields, there's no big field that they can attack. You know, points on farms are like investments. You want to diversify. Diversify your assets. And Bluster now could suffer, actually. He places the last meeple there without much need, I would think. And that's it. He's about to lose some value. He could still get a meeple back, perhaps, with a rose tile or similar. And by similar, I mean exactly a rose tile and nothing else. So Bluster has to protect his tile towards a 50-50, his meeple towards a 50-50 rather, because if he doesn't do that, Lambay is going to make a permanent block. So anything that goes over here like this, restrict this farmer permanently, because there are no daggers remaining, no starting tiles remaining. The only city cap that fits is something like this. The coveted rose. Oh, I see why Zvonimir is thinking, because he also wants to go here. He wants to go, just get himself a meeple back and try to survive somehow. But if he gets his meeple blocked, which he should exactly right now, then the situation is going to be very, very, very difficult for the Croatian. He's ahead in the field, of course. His field at the bottom is as much as Yellow's monastery. But that meeple advantage can be used to great successes by the play with the yellow meeples within the next 18 tiles. So that's why Bluster chooses to alleviate his situation by giving a meeple back to both sides. 2 against 3 is not as bad as 1 against 2. So 2 meeples are such a massive, massive improvement over 1, because then Bluster can start 8-point cities, for example, or start 4-point cities, but then still preserve Crossroad, the opportunity to pull tiles like this to score quick points. And this is exactly what he does. His field is still 9 points, but of course many opportunities to attack. And Lambay could do this right now. Yeah, this is exactly what they choose. This move makes a lot of sense. I expect to see a partial restriction from Bluster, or perhaps a re-attack. That could be interesting. So what's better? Our option 1 is to go here and reduce the number of tiles that fit into this square, hoping to potentially strand this guy at 3 points. Or option 2 is accept that the connection is going to happen and then just go over here and reconnect. Given the high number of curves, such as this one, available in the deck, Lambay connects very, very quickly, and Bluster knew that that was going to happen. So he chose to drop that second farmer, and now he's developing his field even further. Now the situation is, again, pretty bad for Lambay. He now goes, starts a new city, hopes to get easy 8 points. I don't think it is going to happen too soon. There are not that many city caps remaining, although I see a couple. There's, of course, the coveted rose that I mentioned at the very least. A vanilla. Actually, no vanilla. I really don't see anything except the rose. Oh, and the splitters, of course. The splitter singular, this here guy like that. Yeah, really not a lot of tiles. So Bluestate does successfully connect. He's now going to probably restrict Lambay partially, and I really don't like this move by Lambay. I think he should really have considered the development of the city on the left. Or maybe he should have considered just not occupying this city. This seems like a waste of a meeple, a bit too fast. We can also see that some Lamberto's moves are a little bit pressed, as he still has almost 10 minutes remaining to play, whereas Bluestate's time management is a little bit more balanced. Quadruple city tile goes to the Croatian. 8 points are being scored. With his last meeple, with just a couple of tiles remaining, it's a pretty good investment. Curvy tile for Lambay. Maybe some restriction can be made. Bluestate's, yes, being very precise, eating up this here meeple, not allowing him to score more points. Yeah, and unfortunately this here situation where Lambay was having 2 cities was just not really the best situation for him to deal with, and as a result the Croatian is gonna take this one down reasonably confidently. Whilst the points are counted, I'm going to remind you to meeple the like button if you like this video, and subscribe if you're here for the first time, of course. We're having additional live streams tomorrow in all likelihood. 32 points is the difference. Quite a painful loss for Lambay. The misclick did contribute to it significantly, although I think Bluestate had a pretty decent position either way. So let's see how they do in the second one. So the Croatian is the starting player and has already scored 4 points for this city and some more points for this one. What a start for green. Now yellow develops his monastery, tries to get another monastery spot, maybe a city cap here, a few Doritos here. Like, green is not really that much ahead, but it's nice to have your meeples back and consolidated. So every single meeple, well, both of the green meeples that are on the board are actually very well placed. This city here with this farm here has a lot of potential for further development. Honestly, not meepling this tile is borderline unforgivable. I assume that this is Bluestate's either misclick or excess conservatism, but there's nothing dangerous about meepling this tile, and you see, as a result, he does meeple it anyway, but Lambay now has this empty city cap to work with, and it makes a huge difference. Zvonimir now finishes the city, of course, so he can probably withstand an 8-point city from Lambay. This is a known psychological phenomenon, like when you have a good start, especially if your advantage is on the scoreboard because it's much more tangible, then you're prone to making a couple over-conservative or sloppy moves. Zvonimir now gets bailed out by the deck, connecting to Lambay's city before the Italian can do anything about this. It's really a rough start here for yellow, and now Bluestate is gonna get himself a 6-point monastery. I like very much this choice, the 6-point monastery over the 7-point monastery. because of what it does to the field and because of how it controls this here square that Lambe was preparing to work with, where he was building his road. Zvonimir with another dagger. What could he do? Something like this makes a lot of sense. Just starting a city. Yellow finishes a road, and I was going to say disrupts the monastery slightly, but it is not a problem for the Croatian, as 24 points on the scoreboard are extra, and he completes himself the first monastery. That's a great move from Lambe, though, realizing he's a little bit behind, creating a bit more variance, dropping a farmer to equalize, and then hoping to get one big 8-point monastery spot. So it's not only matters to drop a farmer, it also matters where you drop a farmer. And with this, he's just making the future monastery spots a little bit better, and he's going to benefit from that. 8 points guaranteed for Lambe, and a 9th points in a meeple back is very likely to happen, as there are still 5 curves remaining and 1 road monastery. Blueste now just keeps scoring quick points. Lambe with the dagger tries to set up an 8-point city at the bottom. The starting tile for the Croatian is not an obvious tile to place. I can see several options. So option 1 is just to take the meeple back and then kiss goodbye to this meeple. This is also an option, but I'm not a huge fan of it because it's quite easy to defend. And if Lambe is trying to be aggressive, I think he could have even considered dropping a farmer here. Chose not to do that for understandable reasons. He wants to score first and farm later. But it is the Croatian player who just keeps drawing those scoring tiles. That's an interesting tile for yellow. He could develop his city, but that would be very bad, and he knows this. This city needs to stay covered up so that it doesn't get blocked or invaded. These are 8 points waiting to happen. Zvonimir now with several interesting options, and this is the simplest one, just scoring 2 points. He could have also considered going over here with a farmer even, like this, trying to sneak into the field. There were many options available. Dagger tile for Blueste. And he could use it to just get a meeple back at the top, although I think it would be a bit of a waste. I would probably just claim the points here. Or that! Yeah, this is pretty strong. I rather like it. I mean, there's still 3 crossroads in case this square gets restricted. Lambe gets finally his 8 points. And Zvonimir has 2 good moves in my view. One move is this. And this move would make it harder to re-attack the field for Lambe, like to drop something here or to drop something here. But this move was the other move that I had in mind, and it doesn't allow Lambe to do stuff like this to further restrict the square. So from the perspective of the Italian, we now have to start to think, do we need the 2 points? And he decided that he does need, or do we go for the farm straight away, maybe somewhere here? He figures he wants to do the points first. Blueste now keeps restricting the monastery of yellow, so that was quite a nice sequence. And this is where I think Lambe can come back. This is a fantastic tile, and he doesn't use it the way I thought he would. And I can understand this. Maybe it's correct. I'm not sure. He goes for the farm like this, and it makes a lot of sense. I would have just done this here thing. I would have, finished a larger city slightly, placed 2 more completed cities into the field, knowing that I have a long-term-ish meeple advantage. Yeah, this here, nice block here. By Blueste, but the yellow meeple penetrates through here to equalize the top farmer. -21 on the board. Minus 21 is quite rough. And Blueste even gets to threaten more stuff at the top. Lambe has to spend tiles to prevent that city from being completed. And it looks like the Croatian player is in control. Another 3 quick points over here are waiting to happen. Although he might have forgotten about the existence of these 3 quick points. We could see a farmer over here. That's actually not such a bad idea. Trying to invade over here. But if you're going to drop a farmer, it's probably best to drop here. If you want to do it right now, with the idea that if yellow finishes the monastery, yellow kind of lets you in regardless. And if yellow doesn't do that, well, you have this second entry route. Blue does drop a farmer. I don't think is the strongest place for a farmer. Just because there was an opportunity to do that with tempo. And generally, like, you really don't want to be dropping 0-point farmers when you're ahead. Because the one way to lose is to invest 0-point meeples and then just not have them come back to your hand. Green here is thinking where to place this Dorito tile. Probably one of these 2 squares. I don't think it matters too much. Maybe this one's slightly better, as we know that the city is unlikely to get completed, so we might as well just connect it to the city tile with the most open squares for further development. There are even some scenarios where we get to sort of kind of threatened completion, as there are a lot of Dorito tiles available, the more I think about this. And the Croatian decides to do exactly that. The fortunate thing, oh, that's such a beautiful move for Lambe, but I was going to say the fortunate thing for the Croatian is that most of his decisions are pretty easy. Even if there are some subtle differences as to like where exactly you take the 2 points, Green can't really do something too egregious that would lose him the game immediately. The reason why I like this move so much is that it sets up a 5-point road, which only Lambe can take, really. Because Blueste needs the curve over here. Oh, will he use the road monastery? I think he should. Like, I think he should. The farm is just too big. Don't be stingy, man. Like, don't be fancy. Yeah, exactly that. Chooses to not meeple it yet because he might need a meeple for something else. Lambe now finishes an 8-point monastery. This is something. I'm a bit surprised why he didn't take this juicy looking city, but he must have calculated that there are not that many city tiles remaining. We shall find out soon enough. Monastery for Blueste. Nothing useful to do really all that much. This move is as good as any other. Lambe needs to start thinking about some sort of field attack. How exactly he gets that done, I don't know. But there's no winning this game without equalizing the field. Oh, actually, I think I know what he does. Well, with this tile, and again, I don't even know if that's a good idea. Actually, no, it's a good idea. We go here, we drop a farmer, and there's still 2 regular Doritos that go here, right? So it's a 75% chance, even a little bit more. I do like that idea. I don't really see anything useful with that tile. And then later, we just take the 5 points here. The 9 points here, that's 14. We kind of go ahead on the scoreboard. Well, Blueste has this nice ruin, but then we have the meeple advantage. So we might also claim this ruin right now, though I don't think it quite wins us the game that often. Like this 75% chance is actually very powerful. And even more so, because there are all these tiles that we can use to get meeple back here, there's some scenarios where we win the game even if our opponent draws both Doritos and we have a 0-point farmer here stranded. So the key is to create those threats, to give yourself these high impact tiles, to make your opponent add drawing these tiles to their win condition, thus reducing their overall win probability. At this stage of the game is not so much about points, it's more about key tiles. And well, Lambay does drop a farmer, but a much less impactful farmer. So Blues is now going to try and block this. There's still going to be one tile available that fits there. But one tile is not as good as two tiles. Well, let's see where it leads us. Well, the interesting part is that regardless how exactly Blue State blocks, there will be one and only one tile remaining. From Blue State's perspective, though, is it possible that we win if we don't block at all? Because let's say if we go here and our opponent gets a straight line immediately, well, then we've just wasted a tile, right? He chooses to block that way. It doesn't really matter that much. Hey, that is smart. Look at this. 4 points prevented. Lambe now drops a farmer. Yeah, like this. That's very smart. Hoping for one remaining curve, although the issue is that when he does get the curve, he's not going to score 5 points for this road, but whatever. Whatever. And now the Italian has a clear win path. He needs to get the starting tile here. He needs to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 curves remaining here. Well, the starting tile has occurred. And Blue State now probably needs to do something like this. But does he see it? Does he see that option? Well, I will be excited if Lamberto turned this around. Fortunately, Zvonimir has 6 minutes on his clock. This should be enough to, if not solve, then at least to manage to understand the end game. And he finds the best move. I believe it is the best move indeed. Yeah, that farmer is very beautiful. And Bluster now needs to save himself. Or does he actually? I think he played a little bit too fast. Now, the field is equal after Bluster connects over here. And the best that Lambe can do is just a few points for a road or for a city. It's a bit better to do it for a city, because it's 6 points. And I think Zvonimir is going to win this by 1. So Bluster is 1 point ahead, right? Lampe is going to do this. This is the best move. It's his last tile. There's nothing else to do, really. So 6 points is going to be here. Lampe is going to be at +5. But Bluster has here 8 points already, actually. So Bluster is +3. Lambe has +2 in this here area. So Bluster is going to win +1. Unless the last tile is also a city tile, in which he's going to... in which case it's going to complete this here city. Yeah, that is immensely interesting. Yeah, we see that Lamberto not so much thinking, but more like delaying the inevitable. Because I know that feeling, like... that sinking feeling in a Carcassonne game. It's not when the final points are counted. It is the moment when you know that your win probability is 0. It could be the last move, could be like 4 moves until the end, but like, you know, when you calculate the end game, you just see that there's nothing. So we empathize with Lamberto. I think they managed some really creative field attacks. Indeed, a close one, as Bluste suggests. Also, credit goes to the Italian, because it was such a difficult start for the Croatian, for the Italian. Right, Bluste got his monastery finished early, but then Lambe managed to invade the field, set up a monastery of his own, and it was actually very close to potentially blocking off this here area. So 1 point win for Bluste, and this is already a win for the duel. A bit quicker than I expected. So then who do we watch next? Wait, sorry, I lost it. So who do we watch next, right? As predicted, Tompa has won on table 5. But Philip here is a bit struggling against Piccione. Look at this, by the way. The highest ELO 696. Just a bit short of the master threshold of 700. I know many players who made it almost to master. So let's see. These guys are playing the decider, I believe, which very well could decide the match. Of course, there are people playing on other tables, but Italy really needs to win this if they want to advance to the playoffs. But it doesn't look like they're gonna, because initially my Italian viewers must have experienced a bit of positive emotion glancing at the top right corner of the screen, where we can see an extra meeple and 11 points. But look at here, 2 monasteries. It doesn't matter at this stage of the game that they're blocked. This here ruined for like 12-ish points, whereas this here guy is trapped of only 1. On the other hand, the field control belongs to Piccione. There are 2 cities on this field for now, but there could be more. Especially if Piccione gets the dagger, the last dagger. I was going to say, this is the tile that Philip needed for this here area. And Piccione now needs to think really hard. Do we take the 11 points straight away? Oh, this is so hard to pass up. Are we going to pass up 11 points? 11? Or maybe we go here, we prolong our road, and we just simply go here not to allow Buha to get a meeple back. And then we try with 1 meeple to score a little bit more. But then 11 is really wrong. Even if Philip gets himself a meeple back, which he does, it's still a net positive exchange for Piccione. Now he goes for 7 points. And in theory, he could even get this monastery meeple back. There's 1 more road monastery. There are a couple of curves, and I can see a combo like this, for example, happening. And this is a good move by Buha. He scores net 1 point, because he scores 2, gives 1 to Piccione, but he disrupts the synergy here. But look at this here move. 4 points for the road, an extra castle in the main field, and I believe now Piccione is maybe ahead even. Yeah, probably ahead. That road is really long. The disadvantage of Piccione's position is that blue can always, if he needs, choose to attack the field. There are a few marginal fields connection platforms It's like he could go here, even though it's blockable. He could go here, for example, try and invade like this. He chooses to try and block this here monastery, and so yellow needs to decide whether it's worth defending, and the answer might be yes. Because I can see a couple of vanilla tiles, but he doesn't want to do that. He just wants to score. That's his idea. Certainly at this stage of the game, 2 points never gonna hurt. Philip now could either score 2 points or do something else, like a field invasion. Given that there are still some potential blocking tiles, I don't think that a field invasion will work at this stage. Well, actually, no, not really. So 2 points it is. And then with just a couple of tiles remaining, he's going to reassess the endgame and calculate everything. Okay, an interesting move from yellow's perspective. Now 2 points is probably the answer, but it does keep the field a little bit more open than it was before. So the 2 points would be over here. There would be some field connection options. I think we should also start... Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure if that was worth it. So sacrificing 2 points, but preserving the chance to get himself a city cap. I don't think I would have done that. Now a 3 points move is an option for Philip here. He could just use the new crossroad tiles and score 3 quick points here. This is our first instinct, but is there anything better? Nope, he decides. Only 4 points behind on the scoreboard. And Pichone gets himself the farm, and I believe he should be now ahead. Finishes a monastery, which I did not expect. Philip now needs to decide whether he is making a standard game, a standard move like here for 4 points, or if he needs to decide a farm. Actually, what are the remaining tiles? I think there has to be a curve of some sort, and he decides that yes. So he goes for the invasion, but it's almost always blockable. I don't think that's quite the way to go. For Pichone, it should be quite easy to go here, and he just needs to decide whether he needs to drop a farmer or not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, not needed, because there are no straight lines remaining. So if we go here, this should be a complete block. Well, the 3 points for Buha, they are not going to hurt either. So it looks like we're about to see ourselves a slight upset. Six minutes are more than enough to calculate everything out. I only know that the remaining tiles are a curve and something else. And given that there is a possibility of a curve, then I think blocking makes the most sense. Well, actually, it depends. It depends exactly on the score. Because it could be so that yellow simply has to chance it that he's going to get the curve and not Philip. And he might just need the extra 4 points that he could score for this city. So let's just see. So he's plus 13. Yeah, he chooses that simply the blocking is correct. Philip was going to invade, but it ain't gonna work. Yeah, so that's why I was apprehensive about this invasion. It actually never works. It literally always gets blocked with any tile. So maybe what, Philip could have just gotten himself a couple more? A couple more maybe by going over here. So, I believe the Italians should have this. That road on the left grew long to epic proportions, and even though it was a great position for blue, like these monasteries, this here ruin, the fields, and this here monastery did the job for yellow. 14 points is the difference. So actually this move was an important find. Without it, the Italian would lose, as Philip would find his connection into a larger field. Wait, would he? No, he wouldn't. The field is actually not that large. Yeah, so yellow just scored so many points in this area. Well, 9 plus 6, 15 for just one meeple to be exact. That it was exactly what the doctor ordered. So our commiserations to Philip Bohinicek. Congratulations to any Italian fans. And now the match is headed more into Italy's direction. Hi Lambe. Commiserations to your 1-point loss. We were witnessing that very closely. Well, I believe that Croatia has actually won the match. Oh, yes. Yeah, they have won the match. Even though Polo Verde is still playing on table 3 for tiebreakers. Making it exceptionally difficult for Italy to qualify for the playoffs. I'm not sure if that's even possible. I think it is. If they win against Poland very well in their next game, and then they have a very good tiebreaker, I think there's still some chances. So we're just witnessing ourselves the last tiles. GGS is saying Mr. Green Chicken, implying that there are not going to be any more G's. So probably he must have calculated that the Italian has won even this game as well. So 4-1. No. Oh no, what I'm talking about, 3-2. Yeah, 3-2 is the result. With the minimum possible advantage, Croatia wins. A clutch upset on table 5. Yeah, so LR is saying, quite irritated with myself for the misclick, actually. Oh yeah, that misclick was actually not that bad, and I think the position was still pretty good for Croatia there, so maybe don't beat yourself up too hard over this one. I think I misspoke several times as to who won this match. Why am I doing this? Italy won. Why did I say... I just looked at the score wrong. Of course Italy won. Italy won here. Italy won here. Yes, the upset was on table 4, not on table 5. I gotta try and focus a little bit better in the next 10 minutes. So Italy's the one who's winning, and Croatia's the one who's gonna find it difficult to qualify for the playoffs. And who is Croatia playing? Oh yes, Croatia's playing Poland, not Italy. And Italy's going to be playing against Czech Republic, and things are looking pretty good for them. Well, before that, let's see what's going on in some other interesting matches. So in the same group, Poland versus Catalonia, although Catalonia have already lost their first 3 matches. Romania against Germany. Yeah, Romania against Germany. could be somewhat interesting. Oh, Mars versus Ice Maze. And this very much could be decisive. We have to watch that. The 2019 world champion against the best player in Germany at the moment, I believe. But this one's going to be very, very anticlimactic. 45 extra points on the scoreboard. 45! And I cannot possibly imagine what kind of pesticides do you need to add to your farming ingredients to make those farmers make up for that sort of advantage. So we're going to call this one a foregone conclusion and assume that Germany has effectively won this match. I mean, I believe in Marian a lot, but maybe not so much that he can make up 45 points in 11 tiles. We'll keep the tab open. We will open Finland and Portugal. That could also be interesting. They are competing for their chance for the playoffs. And, ooh, Nalaheim is still playing the first game against Diogo Antunes. Maybe there was a no-show or something. We're going to find out. Let's have a look at Larpator and Sportar, where the Portuguese player has already won. So actually this is looking very good for Portugal. What about the new Finnish player, Tappajahaukki? They're still fighting against Rui Fernandez in their decider. How about we have a look at what's going on there? Okay, this one's actually quite okay for Finland. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Oh, look like this. He was trying very hard to connect to a big field here, but he was just blocked here by Hui. And I'm gonna assume that this has to be game decisive, right? So we're just gonna wait for the points to be scored. A lot of red meeples are on the board. The 15-point field goes to Hui. So does a 8-point monastery. And Portugal has won its game against Finland. Its match against Finland, rather. So I'm gonna come back to the points a little bit later. Let's see who else we have. Well, Romania, Germany we watched. So we're gonna go with Poland, Catalonia. We're actually, Catalonia is still fighting, so a new player with screen names Team 4206 is holding his own against Poland's, I was gonna say one of Poland's best players, but not for too long. So Poland has won that much as well. So let's just see how Marian is doing. Still minus 40. Well, actually, no. Last time we checked, he was at minus 45. Now he's at minus 43. So with 10 tiles, we've made a little bit of progress. Also managed to conquer some fields. Like, it's going to be reasonably close. GG is saying Marian without necessarily mean it. It appears that Utz is typing something longer. No, nothing in particular, no game analysis, just your usual pleasantries. So we're gonna study all the tournament situations quick enough. So what's the final score? 46. 46 is the difference. What happened? I assume some sort of big city. Yeah, look at this. Look at the stats. 77 points per cities. Like, in some games, people don't score as many as 77 points with all features combined, including fields. 77 versus 13. 13? It's a 1 4-point city. Well, okay, it's 2 4-point city and a 5-point ruin. Like, this is how little these... Like, honestly, I've never seen so few city points for a game. And the only explanation that I can see, also looking at the thinking time difference, is that Marian must have gotten absolutely disastrous draws. Alrighty, so is Poland Catalonia still going on for a little bit? Technically. So Poland has already won. They might need to win one more match to get themselves more tiebreakers. Oh, but actually they won again, as Maciej Polak, the 2021, no wait, yeah, 2021 world champion, has successfully defeated an opponent whose screen name is actually not familiar to me, which is a good thing. I really see a lot of unfamiliar screen names in national teams these days, indicating that the field is growing and stuff. So 4-1 is the final score. And we already have all the winners. Germany has won against Romania. Portugal has won against Finland. And Ukraine has also won their encounter. So let's just have a brief look at the tournament table where it is available. Namely, I want to have a look at my group. So let's assume this. Wait. Hey, so this is interesting. Wait, do they have an actual shot, right? So if we just win our 5th encounter, and Romania wins against Hungary, which is likely to occur, our tiebreak is going to be fairly decent. Yeah, I think we can absolutely do this. So basically, if Latvia wins the game against RCP, then we just qualify. In all likelihood. And Romania is the favorite against Hungary. So the situation here should be as follows. Like, Poland is in sole lead. Over here, this is what we expect from the reigning European champions. Croatia have themselves another loss, so they're here. Italy is actually here. So Italy's going to be playing against Czech Republic for the playoffs, basically. Unfortunately, I will not be able to cover that match, as I'm going to need to help my team to qualify for the playoffs on my own round 5 table. But hopefully you've been enjoying this partial coverage. If you have, make sure to meeple the like button and subscribe for more competitive Carcassonne content like this. In all likelihood, there are going to be streams tomorrow, but depends on how well we do, and depends if I have to play tomorrow and how much I have to play tomorrow. There is either going to be the coverage of the full day or only of some individual rounds, but in all likelihood I will be able to stream at least something tomorrow, so stay tuned. The streaming announcements will be there on short notice, maybe some half an hour before the stream. Milek is asking, hey, just curious, why didn't you play in the first 2 rounds? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to reveal this. Okay, I think I can say this. So first of all, I didn't sign up to play in the first round for the sake of sleeping. Because when I play, I want to really do my best. And the second, I am not the captain this year. The captain is Giannis Napalm. He's doing a great job in organizing everything. He managed to attract new players. We have actually newcomers to our team. And I think his idea, just based on how I see the lineups, must have been to give everybody a bit more of an equal chance of to participate in more chance of exposure. If anything, I would have preferred to just not play at all and stream. But there has to be a balance there. Alrighty, so then that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you soon.